You don't want to be 60, 70, 80, 100 years old looking back on certain things in your life and saying, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I just take that shot? Like, shoot your shot. If you want to do something, whether it's personal or professional, let's stick to professional because it's a business podcast. You have to be willing to fail. That's the end of the story.
Prove yourself.
Welcome to the podcast dedicated to real estate, insurance, and building your business. Join us as we take you along our own business building journeys with additional wisdom from our network of local and national experts. Welcome to Bricks and Risk.
This episode is brought to you by Property Management Redefined. PMR is not just managing properties, they're creating partnerships that build long-term success for property owners. John and his team can be reached at manage@gopmr.com or by phone 267-753-6005. Tim?
Yes, Sean.
Who's a good client for PMR?
Property Management Redefined is looking for property owners who value three things: accountability, reliability, and a results-driven approach. They want to maximize returns, but still provide client and tenant satisfaction.
There's a lot of property managers out there.
Yes, there are.
What does PMR do really well?
Biggest thing is they're seamless and they're worry-free. So with that approach in mind, it allows the property owner to put their trust in PMR and know that the results will be there. The other thing I think a property owner is really going to value because they do it so well is that they have a local expert team, boots on the ground, managing your properties and your tenants' expectations every day so that you feel good about your investments.
We have millions of listeners out there.
Tens of millions.
If they want more information, how do they find PMR?
Right here, guys. Reach out to John Sachs and his team at Property Management Redefined. We'll take good care of you. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bricks and Risk. I'm Tim Garrity.
And I'm Sean Mooney.
And I was laughing trying to deliver the opening line because me and Mr. Mooney here were having a fan disagreement on the Philadelphia Eagles as we barely just beat the Buffalo Bills. Sorry, Vin. We were talking about that. I did really feel bad for you about that game because it was hard to watch for both sides, harder for you. But we were just talking about, I was telling Mr. Mooney here, I'm the type of fan that I'm overly optimistic. So I always find the silver lining in everything. And Mr. Mooney's the fan that we stink. We stink.
No, they do.
This person stinks. That person stinks.
Well, how do you judge if they stink or not? You judge it by what they do on the field. And by what they do on the field is they stink.
Last time I checked, we've already clinched our playoff seat. We're hoping.
Nobody cares about clinching a play. We care about the Super Bowl. If you play like that, you're not going to win the Super Bowl.
Well, we're in the playoffs, which means we have an opportunity to still win the Super Bowl. So why don't you wait? Fire them all. All the players.
No.
All the coaches. Get rid of everyone. They all stink.
Just Petula. Just Petula.
Well, I will not disagree with that.
Okay. Listen, when you are, I don't know if they're last in the league, but I think they're in like the bottom five of.
Yeah, I think in the mid-20s. I think I know exactly what you're about to say.
3 and outs.
Yes.
And third down conversions.
Yeah, it's horrible. But we still won.
But it looks like at a game like that, here's what I'll say. In a game like that, it looks like you come out, you play well. The other team makes the defensive changes at the half.
You're not lying.
To basically shut down your offense, like making the adjustments.
Yep.
And you don't have, the offensive coordinator, doesn't have the answer to the other team's adjustments.
No, and the thing is, I said this to Vin, if that game went into overtime last night, you would have won.
Probably.
Because
we couldn't have advanced the ball 10 yards to get a first down.
All right, so enough of our homerism.
Perfect topic
what
today.
What are we talking about?
Talking about failing.
Oh, Mr. Mooney's favorite, but the second part is more me.
When you fail, forward.
Fail forward. Do you know who is a guest that we've had on Bricks and Risk who said this multiple times on her episode? Now, again, a lot of people say this. This isn't the first time I heard it in that episode. Do you remember which guest we had that was talking about failing forward? If you don't, it's fine.
I do not.
So it was Amy Stockburger. Shout out to Amy Stockburger with the Amy Stockburger Real Estate out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Yes.
What's up? And she said it a few times on our show where she said she has a PhD in failing forward. And why I think you get all these lines, you interview guests, the two of us spit at the desk and you know, we rap about a topic, we call them toppies, and you know, all these things come out, like all these great points and these nuggets, as we call them, 1 or 2 nuggets in every episode. But sometimes you gloss over certain things as it just we witness right here of like you interview someone, they say something, you're like, oh yeah, now I kind of remember it. But when you had said fail forward, it just reminded me personally of that episode with Amy, who said she had a PhD in it. And here's why it was so effective in her episode with her entire business model, with the VIP system. So basically what Amy does is that when someone buys or sells a home for her, they automatically go into her VIP system so that from that time that they buy the home until forever, they have access.
They're in the dirt.
They have access to her tool shed, her party shed, her client events, all of her vendors,
Truck.
multiple benefits, the moving truck for free forever. It is an unbelievable way to build a business, not only, you know, now and provide lots of value to your clients, but also very forward thinking of if I do these things for my people, they will never go anywhere else for their residential real estate needs.
I've never seen anyone do what she does.
I agree.
On the level that she was capturing 10% of all?
She was like 10 plus percent of all the market share, the residential sales in and around Sioux Falls, which is unbelievable. You know, top 25 team or so in the entire country of residential real estate teams, runs an independent brokerage. It's like everything that I used to do, she's doing that on like steroids times 100 and just building this massive book of business that, you know, can be bought and sold basically. Like she is building clients for life. This is like the epitome of clients for life with her business model. But going back on that episode to talk about failing forward, tell me your thoughts on that concept of when you fail forward. What are some thoughts?
So two things.
Yeah.
Number one, every time you fail, you're always going to take something from it and use that as a learning experience to either A, not do it again, or B, be able to implement some different things to make sure that you're doing it differently going forward.
Yeah.
So that's number one.
Uh-huh.
Number two, like, if you're not failing, you're not trying, right? And I think that Amy is a perfect example of that. Like, if you're afraid of failing, you're not going to try things.
Yeah, you're not going to attempt things that may be out of your comfort zone or financial zone. You're not going to take risks.
Right. And I would love to get her back on the show to she's always talking about, we did this and these are all her wins, but I would love to talk to her about, like, what else have you done that you tried that you had to scrap, like just shut it down because it wasn't, because I feel like she's the type that tries a lot. Like, she's got so much energy. She's such a great organizational mind to put the pieces together to make things go. So she probably doesn't have a lot of failures just because by way of her operational skills. But I would love to hear her like, oh, these two things, we tried this and it just didn't work, you know?
All right. So those are two fantastic points. Let's kind of dissect those a little bit. So your first point of saying, like, when you fail, you need to learn from that.
Yeah.
And pivot and adjust, basically.
And I'll always say I always learn more from failing. Failure always offers more learning than trying something and succeeding.
No, I agree. Because it's more painful to fail than it is joyful to succeed. I think it's like when you fail, personally or professionally, you have your tail between your legs. No matter what you're doing, it could be a small failure, it could be the biggest failure of your life. It doesn't matter. You have your tail between your legs because you're like, why did I fail? So you second guess everything. Your confidence goes down. You know, you start looking at everything you've ever done. You're like, is that wrong? You're looking at, if it's a financial failure, you're like, why did I waste all that money? Why did I waste all that time? So when you fail, no matter what you're doing, you're going to go down to zero. Like you are like at rock bottom of questioning everything you're doing. When you succeed, like something goes well, a small success, a small win or a big win, you'll be like, okay, where's the next win?
Yeah.
It's a little less, you don't dwell on it as much when you succeed. When you succeed, it encourages you to like, okay, that was okay, but like, how do I go to the next level and the next level and the next level? But when you fail, you almost look at it and be like, what am I doing? Do I have the right job? Like, am I in the right career? Like, am I in the right relationship? Do I live in the right area? Like, am I making poor health decisions? Like, there's lots of ways to fail.
We've all been there. Like, we've all had those instances.
Many times.
And really, it does kind of, there's two ways to kind of go about it. It's like, fail and fold up the tent, right? Like,
just give up.
This isn't for me. I'm going to go do something
and you give up.
Or like fail and be like, I'm never going to do that again. I'm learning from this. And
yeah, why did that happen? All right. So that was failing and learning.
Yeah.
And your second point was if you are not failing, then you're probably not pushing yourself. Your boundaries are too tight. Because if you are avoiding failure, you're not looking to like go outside of your comfort zone. It's like your comfort zone is right here. Like you don't leave the circle. Because if you leave the circle and you fail once, you're like, it'd be devastating.
There's something on TikTok or somewhere on the on social media that's like all of your growth happens in this uncomfortable space.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a perfect example to illustrate the fact that you have to be uncomfortable. You have to try things that you haven't done before because that's where growth comes from.
Yeah. And all right, so if I can take this topic as well, failing forward, why I think that's important. I think for someone, let's take the person, most people who they're frightened or scared to fail. It's way more normal to feel that way than it is to like look failure in the eye, in the face and say like, bring it on. If this doesn't work, it's cool. I'm going to do this. That's way more the exception. So let's talk about the majority of people who are afraid of failure. So let's talk about, without getting like psychological, let's say, why someone might be afraid to fail. Ryan Serhant said this. I think he said this on our podcast when we interviewed him. He said the way he put it is kind of different than the way we're talking about.
You're not going to give him a shout out?
Oh, shout out to Ryan Serhant. What's up, man?
His new show?
By the way, Owning Manhattan is crushing. I haven't seen all of the new season yet, but I'm in it right now. It's very good.
I've seen them all.
Congratulations. It is really good.
I actually think one was better than two. But
Well, I really enjoyed one. I'm only 2 episodes deep into the new one.
I think they need to focus more on him.
Okay. But what Ryan said on his episode was, the way he put it was like, people aren't afraid of failure, but they're afraid of being embarrassed.
Yeah.
Which is failure in itself. Because it's almost like, the way he put it is like,
byproduct of failure.
You can fail privately and people will keep going, but if you fail publicly, there's no coming back from that. But let's talk about that. while I don't disagree with that, I will kind of disagree on how he put it. Almost everything is public now because in some way, shape, or form, most people are on some kind of social media platform or text people. So there's something in writing or there's emails. Like,
no, I disagree.
well, let me finish my thought.
Sure.
Okay.
Keep going.
So I'm talking about things are more public than people probably care to believe. So there's that. But let's get back to my initial zone of not wanting to leave this. This is your comfort zone. And you said if you go outside of your comfort zone, that's where you learn the most.
That's where you grow. That's where the most growth
That's where the growth happens.
Yeah.
I agree. So if you constantly stay in that comfort zone, you will probably have some kind of career based on people telling you what to do, when to do it for your entire life. And it's not to say you can't make a good living off of that. And it's also not to say that that's not a comfortable career path. You might be perfectly fine with that, but you have to go through all of the daily minutia that comes with that every single day of your working life. So that is what you're basically signing up for. When you look at this as a bubble or circle that is to be broken on occasion, not all the time unless you're a psychopath, broken on occasion to learn lessons to make you better as a person, as a business owner, as a salesperson, as a marketer, as whatever, a public speaker, whatever you're podcaster, whatever you're trying to do, you have to be willing to get outside your comfort zone to make your career better and more under your control. Like, you have a say in your career if you are okay with failure. Because as you fail, you're going to be like, okay, it might take you a month or a year to shake off that failure sometimes. It might take 1 minute. Okay, fine. Didn't work. I'm going to do this. Hey, everyone. This is Tim, your favorite Bricks and Risk co-host. But don't tell Sean. I hope you're enjoying this episode, and I'll get right back to it in a moment. Our audience grows through word of mouth. So if you would please take a moment of your time and give us a review on the platform you're on, that would be fantastic. Please also help spread the B&R word by sharing your favorite episode with a friend. We greatly appreciate your time and trust. Now, back to the show. Now, what were you going to say?
I think there's a lot of instances in life where you have opportunities to fail in private.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yep.
And I think people would be more inclined to go that route. When it becomes public, I agree with Sirhan 100,000% in that failing privately is okay.
Yep.
I can do things. I can invest in this and try it, and no one in my network will
no one's
even
going to
know.
see that. Yeah, like investing is it's a good example. I made this investment, it didn't work out, I lost my money. No one knows.
I started this YouTube channel that's based on whatever, and I'm trying to like grow that. Nobody needs to know like it's me behind this, and I can try to do it, and I have no problem trying to do it because in the end, if it doesn't work, who cares?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of that, and I think people are more willing to do that when it's not in the public square. When you cross over that line, that threshold where you're putting yourself out there.
Putting yourself out there, yep.
And you are at the mercy of your friends, your family, your network, your colleagues, everybody you know, and you're laying it on the line. I think people like take a big step back, and those numbers of the percentage of willingness to go privately is probably way higher. Once you cover that threshold,
right,
and now you are in the public square to be publicly exposed for a failure or a win.
Yep.
I think that's when people shrink. And that's really dictates people's behavior about being public.
Yeah, this is very common in residential real estate. And
because there's no hiding.
I remember this from my days at Copper Hill when dozens of agents were working for us. And I would individually mentor almost all of them in some way, shape, or form. Some people wanted it once or twice a month. Some people wanted it once or twice a year. So again, it just depends.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there were some conversations that I would have with some agents, and they were like, I'm just stuck right now. I'm not getting any business. And I'd be like, well, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I'm doing this. And it wasn't much, whatever they were doing. And I would say, I'll be honest with you, I would do, let's say, email marketing, because it has a high ROI, low time spent. But here's the kicker. You have to put yourself out there in front of everyone you know in some way, shape, or form. Whether you're just emailing statistics like a market report, or you're emailing like, tips on like where to go for like a festival in Philadelphia, whatever, doesn't matter. And there were so many times where people were like, I'm not comfortable doing that. And I would really be like, why? Like, I don't want to put myself out there. I'm afraid that if I do that and they don't want to work with me, it's just going to be like, it really comes, I hate to say it, but it really comes down to like your ego.
Do you know why? I will tell you why, on a psychological level, why they didn't want to do it.
Sigmund Mooney?
Yes.
All right, Sigmund.
Lay down on my couch. Because there's a opt-out button.
That's true.
1,000,000%. So if they send an email,
and someone says,
there was
nope,
I don't want to hear from you ever again.
That's a good way to put it.
That would be devastating.
Yeah.
To someone.
Yeah.
And so rather than experience that jolt of someone saying, stop sending me your emails.
Right.
I'm not going to do that.
This goes back to the Dustin Brome episode. Another shout out. What's up, Dustin? And he was the one out of all our guests was very passionate about saying, you have to be yourself when you put yourself out there. It could be email, it could be social media, it could be shaking hands and kissing babies, whatever. You have to be yourself when you put yourself out there, because the authenticity will attract the right people to what you're doing, but it'll also repel the wrong people from wanting to work with you, which is a good thing. So he was confident enough in his career, again, was working on a team, then was doing it himself, then kind of pivoted into more of a coaching, mentorship, leadership role as an authority on residential real estate in and around the U.S. basically now. That's where he is in his career. And it took him a while. It took him over 10 years.
I actually went back to see his first YouTube video he made.
Was that the one that I saw too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, we watched that. No offense, Dustin. It was pretty terrible. But again, I just did a video that I sent to you on purpose, and you chopped me up, and that's great. I wanted that.
But that's
because I wanted to get better.
So this plays a crucial point in saying that. He decided I'm going to put this video out there. I will be on the public square, because he bought into the idea of that. Like, it won't be a great video. I'm not going to be a great personality online. I'm not going to be engaging. I'm not going to be great on video. There's going to be plenty of issues. But if I do it, I'm going to have the ability to connect with some people.
Yep.
And that's where he started. And from there, you put more out, you gain more of a following, you get the hate comments, you get the people, declining to accept your newsletter. You're taking all those hits along the way. Mm-hmm. And now he's got a community of thousands.
Yeah.
But if he didn't take that first step, he wouldn't have what he has today.
Yeah, I was listening to his podcast earlier today, actually, because I missed a few of his last episodes, and he's like in the 400s now. And one thing he says, he's like, I've been doing this for 8 years, and he's like, and I've never missed a Thursday. And it's just like, it's so impressive to see someone like do something like that. But also, I mean, that takes a ton of time, effort, and commitment and money to do that. But when you watch someone like that, you hear something like that, it really just encourages like guys like you and I feel like, because we're like 2 years into this, and it's the same thing. Like, we haven't missed a Tuesday. Like, we're just plowing through it. We enjoy doing it, and we learn something new every time. Fun fact, the last couple episodes that we're doing in this batch right now, because we batch record, we had no notes because it was the holiday. We were tired. I just said, you know what? I don't feel like organizing these things because that's my end of the bargain with this show. And I said, I'm just going to
You just got back from Pontiac.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm just going to come up with 4 titles, and we're just going to show up at the studio and just talk.
Yeah.
This is the title. All right. So before we actually close it down, with this one, when you fail, fail forward.
Yep.
If someone came to you seeking advice, what would you tell them?
What's their question to me?
Let's say they go to you and say, Sean, you said failing forward is a good thing.
Yeah.
Why should I be open to that?
Well, because of all the points that we just made, but most importantly is you have to put yourself out there and you have to try, right? You have to try new things. You have to try to grow, and that growth only happens in those spaces that are uncomfortable. So, listen, do I think I was dreadful about my thoughts about this podcast? Did I want to be on video? No. Do I think my voice sounds like terrible? Yes, it probably is.
Do I think my outfits are cool?
That's like the only thing I have going for me. But if those things like steered my direction, we would have never
we wouldn't be here.
Right. And so if you line up all the things that have happened in the last 2 years, if you just take them off the table, it's like, wow, like I'd be missing out on a lot had I not decided to do that, to start a podcast, to get on video, to do this, to go to these different events, to, any number of things is, I would say, don't say no because you don't feel comfortable about it. I think the better way to approach it is maybe think of what doors you might be able to open if you do decide to go that route, right? Like, think down the road 2 or 3 years.
Long-term thinking.
Take someone that is doing what you want to do and look at what they've become. Dustin, look at Dustin, the first video to where he is now, and see that growth and see the community that he's built. So look at it from the lens in reverse of what the possibilities might be and lie ahead if you decide to say yes rather than no.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I'd say for me, it would be if someone came to me and said, hey, why should I be open to failing and why should I fail forward? I mean, for me, I would just say, because you don't want to live with regret. And I think so many people are scared to go out on their own, whether you're an agent, insurance, or you just have a corporate job and you've always wanted to work for yourself. So many people are afraid to go out on their own, mostly because of financial. Let's call it like it is. But I actually think there's a huge part of every person before they decide to go out on their own that, like you said, they just don't want to put themselves out there and they don't want to publicly fail. Because if they publicly fail, they're just never going to get over that. And here's what I'll say, as I just said. You don't want to be 60, 70, 80, 100 years old looking back on certain things in your life and saying, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I just take that shot? Like, shoot your shot. If you want to do something, whether it's personal or professional, let's stick to professional because it's a business podcast. You have to be willing to fail. That's the end of the story. Because if you're not, you're always going to be right here in this circle, that comfort zone, and you're never going to be able to grow in the ways that you feel like you can grow unless you take chances. Now, again, sometimes you have to take lots of little risks, lots of little chances in order to realize a big gain. And there's going to be times in your career that you will have to take a big risk to also potentially fail to move on to the path that you're trying to go down anyway. And I just went through something like this recently, a year and a half ago, where I had to make a very big decision to pivot in my career. And I will say a year and a half later, it is absolutely one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. But again, very hard to do. So why don't you go ahead and shut this one down?
All right, folks. Get us on the YouTubes. Get us subscribed. Hit that bell. If you want to reach out to the show with comments, hit us at bricksandrisk@gmail.com. Find us on Apple, Spotify. Leave a review if that's your bailiwick. Social media, get us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and somewhere else. TikTok, maybe.
Anywhere else you want to find us. Oh, and check out our blog on bricksandrisk.com.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget, we have that. That's all we have for this one, folks. Thank you for tuning in again to another episode of Bricks and Risk. See you next week. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Bricks and Risk. Our goal is that you walk away with 1 or 2 valuable nuggets, and we greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us today. You can find all B&R episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcast content. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.